Hey everyone, OutcastWriter here. Sorry about not having a video this Monday, but I'm still dealing with some health and sleeping issues, so that kind of delayed me from being able to do that. But I wanted to do a little something. I actually have a video that's almost ready to go. We'll have something this Monday, can guarantee that. But something unexpected happened today. We caught wind of it yesterday, but the Nintendo NX, or should I say the Nintendo Switch, has finally been announced to the public. We know some details about it, so I know a lot of people are going around giving their opinions on it, so I figure I might as well do a little something different. It is kind of exciting news. I will admit I wasn't, I mean, I was looking forward to the news, but I was just kind of like, all right, that's cool, whatever. And now I will admit, there's a part of me who's kind of like, oh man, I really want to buy this thing. But first things first, let's just kind of talk about facts a little bit. Nintendo still says that it's going to be coming out in March 2017, which is a good thing because a lot of people were starting to doubt that with how much time was transpiring, and we still hadn't heard anything about the Nintendo NX, which is, as a lot of people are having, it's hard to keep saying the Nintendo Switch because we've been calling it for the NX for over a year. It is a hybrid, as many thought that it would be. It is basically a tablet with detachable controllers. It has a dock, basically. It doesn't increase processing power, at least as far as I am able to tell, for what I gleaned from other sources. It's just basically a dock that you're able to charge your tablet, and also it transitions the play from your tablet to your television. Now, in the video that they showed releasing the Switch to the public for the first time, they showed that happening instantly. So if it's actually able to do that, that's going to be pretty cool. But again, we kind of have to wait and see that sort of thing. Is that really how it's going to be once the actual product is in the market? One thing the video definitely showed is that it emphasized you can play games anywhere. Now, a few of the things were slightly interesting, like, hey, come on over to our party and you can bring your tablet with you. I don't know how many people are going to do that, but hey, it was a fun video, and that's one thing I have to really give credit to Nintendo for. It was a fun video. They didn't sit down and tell all these specs. They just shot a video kind of showing things that this console can do, which really differentiates it from Microsoft and Sony, and it's something that they need to do because there's obviously still going to be some weaknesses to this console, which we're going to get to in a minute. One real neat thing, though, is that it's something that I heard about, is that local multiplayer is going to be something that's going to be really easy to do. You don't have to go online, but that it's something that is already, sorry, as I go off screen, it's already in the 3DS hand consoles right now, is that if there's another 3DS, you can have local multiplayer. You don't need an internet connection at all whatsoever. So that is pretty awesome. So that's a cool thing that they're integrating into the Switch, and it's obvious with certain things like that you can see that it is a merging of their home console and their handheld console, which of course means certain interesting things, as certain titles that were only on a console or only on a handheld we'll be able to play on a TV now, or we'll be able to take on the road with us. We'll be able to play a Legend of Zelda game, a legit full console Zelda game on a handheld. That's never been done before, at least not to the extent that they're doing it now. I do realize that there have been remasters of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on 3DS, but it's still not the same thing as, say, Breath of the Wild that we're going to be getting next year. So, and then also certain console exclusive, or mainly not console exclusive, handheld exclusive titles such as Fire Emblem and Pokemon will be able to finally play on a big screen. So that sort of thing is real exciting, and I have to give props to Nintendo for that. Another thing that they showed with the tablet is there's a kickstand, so you can kind of set it anywhere that you want, and you can just kind of you can detach the controllers, and you can kind of use the controllers and just play with it anywhere that you want. So that's really cool. One thing that I hope is that I hope the tablet is fairly durable, because it's easy to break those things. As you can, if you've seen the video, this is what a Wii U gamepad looks like, and it's fairly thick, it's fairly hefty, and the tablet was definitely thinner. I mean, it kind of looks like a iPad a little bit, a very much sleeker looking iPad and smaller iPad. But so I'm wondering what the durability is going to be on that thing. I hope it's pretty good. I hope they stress test it like they do with the 3DSs. Kind of touched on the joysticks. I have to be honest, I'm not really sold on the sliding joysticks. They call them Joy-Cons, which that's a barf-worthy name, but hey, you have to call them something. So why not? I mean, you're supposed to have fun playing with Nintendo, and it is a controller, so Joy-Con it is. Okay. They show that they originally show the Joy-Cons being on the side of the tablets, kind of like if we're using this. Basically, if that's a tablet, they just slide on. You can slide them off. So it's just the tablet, and you can play with these two controllers. They show them that you can even play multiplayer games. You give one to your buddy, and you have the other one. And you can. They showed playing Mario Kart in the video. You can play Mario Kart. Now, the one thing I noticed is that those controllers are really small, and I don't know how well that's going to work for people with big hands. I mean, I'll admit, for a lot of the Wii games, they would be like, hey, you can actually play like old school NES games. You just tilt it on its side. Look, it looks like a Nintendo controller. And I'm not too thrilled with playing games like that. And that's definitely bigger than what they were showing these Joy-Cons to be. So we'll see how well those work out. I hope it works well. But as with a lot of things, we'll just have to wait and see. One thing that they did show is they showed the Joy-Cons can also slide onto this controller-looking thing. They called it the Joy-Con grip, and that's basically what it was. Is it was a grip for a controller. I'm trying to see if I can find a controller, but I guess mine are all away right now. Basically, it was a grip for a controller with like a middle section, and then you would just slide the Joy-Cons onto that, and then you have this controller. They did also show kind of a pro controller as well, just kind of a classic controller that probably most people will purchase. One big question is that a lot of people had is there touchscreen capability? Obviously, this is a tablet. It makes sense that there would be touchscreen, but in the video, there was nothing. There was no one ever shown touching the screen. So as far as we know, for right now, there is no touchscreen capability. But as this is kind of the first release of the Nintendo Switch, there's still a lot of things that Nintendo hasn't told us fully, and I think actually that's a real genius move, because there's still a lot of mystery around, surrounding the Switch, so you're going to keep people talking. So far, there are questionable things with this console, but Nintendo is still creating really great buzz around this product, so this is still a very good thing for Nintendo going on right now. I think they're planning it out quite well. One thing that we know, if you go through what Nintendo has confirmed and what you saw that was being played, including Skyrim, that was surprising, seeing Skyrim on a Nintendo console. With the games that have been confirmed and the games that we saw played, there have been at least 10 games that we know for certain will be on NX, and hopefully they would all be launch titles. Ideally, I believe that I just called it the NX again. I believe that the Switch needs to get somewhere between 20 to 30 games. You want to kind of cover most of the genres. It doesn't have to be anything too vast, but enough that any person wanting or interested in buying the Switch is kind of like, okay, there's a good dearth of games for me to jump into, which is something that has always been a problem for consoles for a long time, but it was especially a problem for the Wii U for Nintendo, is that there wasn't a whole bunch of games at launch, and well, the problem with Nintendo, the Wii U, was that there was never a lot of games on that system, period, because it was such a flop. There also does appear to be a great amount of third-party support. However, history shows that there is usually a great amount of third-party support for the launch of any new console. So that's kind of one of those we'll wait and see things, but it bodes well. It bodes well that a lot of these companies are at least interested in wanting to do partnering somehow with Nintendo, and probably a lot of that has to do with the fact that it is a hybrid system. It may be, it may be underpowered, and we'll get into that. It may be underpowered compared to its competitors, but Nintendo's still doing something that no one has done yet. They're making a hybrid console handheld video game platform. And obviously a lot of developers would want to get in on that, get in on the action on that, try to make some money. And speaking of the graphics, we have no concrete idea about how powerful it is. A lot of people are rumoring, though, that this is not as powerful as the current Xbox One and the current PS4, let alone talking about the PS Pro and the Xbox Scorpio, which are supposed to be the more powerful versions that will be coming out either later this year or later next year. I'm not exactly quite sure what those days are. I know, showing that I'm super well read, but I never buy consoles when they release. So even I bought when I got my PS2, when my uncle bought my PS2 had already been out for 3 years. When I bought my Xbox 360, Xbox 360 had already been out for 4 years. My Wii U that I bought that last year. So, it had already been out, 3 or 4 years. So even though I may be really excited for this Nintendo Switch console, there's no way I'm going to be buying a new one or buying a PS4 or buying an Xbox One. I'm quite happy and content with what I got for right now. So yeah, I don't know those things. If it is true, though, that the graphical power is less than what the Xbox One and the PS4 are currently, that is a bit of a letdown. Not so much for me. I could really care less, but I do enjoy Nintendo's products. I enjoy their intellectual properties, and I want Nintendo to be successful. So, if it is going to be graphically less powerful, they really need to hit it out of the park with games and support. And of course, one thing is, well, who's going to support it if it's less, graphically powerful? Now, with everything that we've been hearing, if it's really easy to program for, that kind of makes up for it. People be like, well, we don't mind doing ports of it and down powering some of our games because it's so easy. That was the problem with Wii U, is that it was less powerful than the Xbox 360 and the PS3, but it was not an easy console to program for. So if this is something that easier, you kind of even those things out a little bit. So I'm still kind of hoping that the Nintendo Switch can be as powerful as the Xbox 360 or the PS4. A lot of people didn't expect for it to be more powerful than the PS4 Pro or the Xbox Scorpio, but if you can at least get it to where you can at least beat the bottom level for Microsoft and Sony, that's a good thing that you can do there. Another interesting thing is games will be sold on SD cards, which is really cool for load times, and also just how quick things will be able to react and load, period. And it's a lot faster on SD cards than it is on optical media. However, that is a big boo for anyone who was hoping that there would be backwards compatibility. So if you bought a Wii U and you were really disappointed with it, well, you're out of luck, and I feel bad for all those people, who bought a Wii U thinking it was going to be the next great phase for Nintendo, and it really wasn't. Someone like me, I'm not the typical Wii U buyer. I never had a Wii. So I'm not only playing the great Wii U games that they came out with, which granted was not a whole bunch, but there's still quite a few, but I'm experiencing the Wii library for the first time. So, for someone like me, I'm getting a lot more value out of the Wii U. I'm very happy with my purchase. But, for a lot of people who they already had the Wii, they'd already rode that train, the Wii U was a real big disappointment. So not having backwards compatibility, I understand why Nintendo did that, but I think that's, it's a bit of a black mark and a bit of a bad look on Nintendo. Once again, not too major, but it's just kind of like you need to help out your loyal fans a little bit. Now, some people have rumored that there may be some sort of program that Nintendo does, which if they do something like that, that would be super nice. Of course, I don't see how exactly they could do it, but if anyone can do it, it's probably Nintendo. So I wish them all the best in that regard. All in all, I am very interested to see more information about the NX. They're doing a great job. They're teasing the heck out of us. You know, even if it's something that I'm not going to buy, you know, for 2, 3, 4 years, you know, I still like the hearing about all the things that they're doing to work on it, and hopefully Nintendo can get back into this race. Another thing that a lot of people aren't considering is, you know, they like to call the 3DS a failure. Well, this thing sold over 55 million copies. You know, it may not be as huge as the DS was, which I don't know the exact numbers, but it was well over 100 million were of the DS were produced. But 55 million is nothing to sniff at. I'm pretty sure that's still more than what the Xbox One or the PS4 have sold so far. So, you know, that's one thing to consider, is that they're going to be bringing in that market as well, of all those people who bought the 3DS. Now, of course, it's obviously going to be more expensive, so we'll kind of see what Nintendo's going to do. Hopefully, they'll be reasonable with their price, afford to sell it at a little bit of a cheaper price to make money back on games. And I mean, if you get people purchasing those games, then yeah, you know, you have a good quality product. That'll be good. So it's just kind of a wait and see. Kind of wanted to give my opinions on it. You know, it's kind of an exciting thing that's going on right now. So, and I am a huge Nintendo fan. That's why I got a Wii U. You know, my whole thing was that most of the other intellectual properties that I liked were on PC. So I'm like, well, you know, Nintendo doesn't have stuff on PC, unfortunately, so I'll get a Nintendo console, and the other games that I really am interested in, I'll get the PC. So we'll see what they do. I feel like I'm rambling a bit, as I always do with these videos, but I just want to say thank you for watching. Go ahead, leave feedback and comments. I appreciate them all. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is the OutcastWriter signing off, giving my opinions on the Nintendo Switch, or however many times I said NX. Anyways, I will see you next time very soon. And remember, what we create matters.